What you're about to hear, most men never truly understand. It's not just about presence, it's not just about attraction, it's about what happens inside her mind the moment you step into her emotional space. Because when a woman truly feels you, not just physically but psychologically, something shifts, something deeper than words. And if you understand this, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. When you enter her world, the first thing that happens isn't always obvious. She doesn't instantly show it. She doesn't always say it, but internally, her brain starts scanning you, not judging you in a harsh way, but analyzing. Is he safe? Is he confident? Can I trust how I feel around him? This all happens within seconds. Women are naturally wired to read emotional energy. It's not about what you say first, it's about how you make her feel without trying. Your tone, your body language, your calmness, all of it sends signals. If your presence feels grounded, she starts to relax. If your presence feels unsure, she starts to close off. That's the first emotional checkpoint. Then comes the second layer, curiosity. If you carry a certain calm confidence, without trying too hard, her mind leans in. She begins to wonder about you. Why does he feel different? Why am I noticing him more? This is where attraction begins, not from looks alone, but from emotional intrigue. And here's something most men miss. She doesn't fall for what she sees. She falls for what she feels while she's around you. That feeling becomes addictive when it's right. Now let's go deeper. When she feels a strong emotional pull, her guard doesn't drop instantly. In fact, it often goes up first. Why? Because intensity creates vulnerability, and vulnerability can feel risky, so she might test you in small ways, pull back slightly, become quieter, or act a bit distant. Not because she's losing interest, but because she's trying to understand her own emotions. Is this real? Is he consistent? Can I trust this feeling? If you react with neediness, pressure, or confusion, you break that emotional flow. But if you stay calm, centered, and unchanged, something powerful happens. She starts to feel safe in her emotions. And safety is everything. Not boring safety, not predictable comfort, but emotional safety, the feeling that she can be herself without being judged, rushed, or misunderstood. When that happens, her energy shifts again. She opens up slightly, her body language softens, her attention becomes more focused on you. This is where connection begins to form. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. When a woman feels something real, it can actually overwhelm her. Because deep attraction isn't just exciting, it's disruptive. It challenges her logic. It makes her think about you when she doesn't want to. It pulls her attention away from everything else. And that's when you become more than just a guy. You become a presence in her mind. So when you enter her world, it's not just about being noticed. It's about triggering a silent emotional process from awareness to curiosity and to caution to connection. And if you understand this process, you stop chasing reactions and start creating impact. At first, it was just a feeling, a small spark, a moment of curiosity. But now, it's different. Now she's thinking about you when she shouldn't be. Now your presence lingers even when you're not there. And this is where attraction stops being logical and starts becoming emotional. As your energy stays consistent, something begins to build inside her, slowly but powerfully. It's not instant obsession, it's something deeper, more dangerous. It's emotional attachment forming without permission. She might try to ignore it at first, distract herself, stay busy, focus on other things. But the truth is, once a woman starts feeling you emotionally, it becomes very hard for her to turn that off. Because now it's not about you anymore. It's about how you make her feel about herself. When she's around you, she starts to feel more alive, more aware, more emotionally present. And that creates a contrast. Because when you're not around, something feels missing. That emotional gap, that's where attraction grows stronger. Now, here's something most men misunderstand. When she starts liking you more, she doesn't always show it more. In fact, sometimes she shows it less. She might take longer to reply, act a little distant, even seem slightly cold. and this confuses a lot of men. But what's really happening is this. She's trying to regain control of her emotions. Because the moment a woman feels like she's losing emotional control, she becomes cautious. She doesn't want to get hurt. She doesn't want to feel foolish. She doesn't want to invest in something uncertain. So she creates space, not to leave, but to understand what she's feeling. During this phase, her mind is constantly running in the background. Why do I care this much? Is he talking to other girls? Does he feel the same way? Am I overthinking this? And here's the key. If your behavior becomes inconsistent during this time, you break the emotional tension. If you chase too much, you remove the mystery. If you pull away too hard, you create doubt. But if you stay balanced, present, but not needy, confident, but not distant, you allow her emotions to grow naturally, because attraction isn't built through pressure. It's built through space and consistency at the same time. That balance creates emotional tension, and emotional tension is what makes her think about you more. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful moments in this phase. It's when she starts imagining you in her life, not consciously at first, but subtly. She thinks about conversations you haven't had yet, moments that haven't happened yet, scenarios where you're part of her routine. This is when attraction turns into investment, because now she's not just reacting to you. She's including you in her mental world. And once that happens, things shift again. Her attention becomes sharper. She notices small details about you. She remembers things you say. She starts caring about how you see her. That last part is important because when a woman starts caring about your opinion, she's emotionally involved. But here's the twist. Even at this stage, she may still hold back. Not because she's unsure about you, but because she's unsure about how deep she's falling. And that can be scary. So she watches you more closely. Your reactions, your consistency, your intentions. She's asking one silent question. Is this something real or just temporary? And your answer doesn't come from words. It comes from how you show up. Attraction was exciting. The emotional pull was intense. But now, something deeper is happening. Because when a woman starts feeling you on a real level, she doesn't just get closer, she becomes vulnerable. And that changes everything. Up until this point, she could manage her emotions. She could step back, think logically, stay in control. But once her feelings deepen, control starts slipping. Not completely, but enough to make her feel exposed. And that's where fear quietly enters the picture. Because vulnerability isn't just about opening up, it's about risk. The risk of being misunderstood, the risk of being hurt, the risk of caring more than you do. And no matter how confident she is, this part is real. So what does she do? She doesn't always move closer. Sometimes she hesitates. She overthinks small things. She replays conversations in her mind. She questions your tone, your actions, even your silence. Not because she's insecure by nature, but because now you matter. And when someone matters, everything they do feels amplified. A late reply feels heavier. A short message feels distant. A change in energy feels intentional. This is the emotional sensitivity that comes with deeper connection. But here's what most men misunderstand. When she becomes more sensitive, she's not becoming difficult. She's becoming emotionally invested. There's a difference. Now let's talk about her behavior during this stage. You might notice she opens up more, then suddenly pulls back. One day she's warm, expressive, engaged. The next day she's quieter, more reserved, harder to read. This push-pull isn't a game. It's her trying to balance two forces inside her, the desire to get closer and the instinct to protect herself. Because every time she opens up, she's asking, will he handle this carefully or will I regret it? And your response in these moments matters more than anything. If you dismiss her emotions, rush her, or react with frustration, she starts to close off, not instantly, but gradually. But if you stay calm, present, and emotionally steady, something powerful happens. She begins to trust not just you, but how you handle her feelings. That's when her vulnerability deepens. She starts sharing more personal thoughts, talking about her past, expressing things she doesn't usually say out loud. And this is a big step because women don't open up deeply unless they feel emotionally safe. But here's the part most people never talk about. Even when she trusts you, she still watches you. Not in a suspicious way, but in a protective one. She's paying attention to consistency. Are you the same person over time? Do your actions match your words? Do you stay steady when emotions get real? Because at this stage, she's no longer asking, "Do I like him?" She's asking, "Can I trust what I'm feeling?" And trust isn't built through big gestures. It's built through small, repeated actions, being present when you say you will be, listening without trying to fix everything, not changing your energy when things get deeper. Now, here's something important. When a woman reaches this level of vulnerability, she becomes more emotionally connected, but also more cautious. That's why sometimes, right when things feel like they're getting serious, she might slow things down, not to leave, but to protect what she's starting to feel, because deep down she knows if this continues, it's going to matter a lot. And that's a turning point, because from here, the connection either strengthens into something real or breaks under pressure. This is the stage most men feel, but don't fully understand, because now it's no longer just attraction, it's no longer just curiosity or even vulnerability. Now, it's attachment. And once a woman becomes emotionally attached, you're not just someone she talks to. You become someone she feels, even in your absence. At this point, your presence has created a lasting imprint. You're part of her daily thoughts. Her mood can shift based on your energy. Small interactions with you start carrying deeper meaning, and this is where things become intense. Because emotional attachment isn't always calm. It can be powerful, overwhelming, even confusing for her. One moment she feels deeply connected to you, the next she questions why she feels this much. Now here's the truth. When a woman becomes attached, she starts to care more than she wants to show. She might still act composed on the outside, but internally, she notices everything. How fast you reply, the way you speak to her, the energy you bring into conversations. And here's the key shift. She's no longer just experiencing you. She's emotionally depending on the consistency of you. That doesn't mean she's weak. It means she's invested. Because now your presence isn't neutral anymore. It has emotional weight. If you're warm and present, she feels secure. If you become distant or inconsistent, she feels it immediately, even if she doesn't say anything. And this is where many men make a critical mistake. They assume that once she's attached, the work is done. So they relax too much. They become inconsistent. They stop paying attention to the emotional details, and slowly the connection starts weakening because attachment doesn't survive on history. It survives on ongoing emotional experience. Now let's go deeper into what she feels internally. At this stage, she begins to imagine a future with you, not necessarily in a dramatic way, but subtly. She thinks about where this is going, how you fit into her life, what it would feel like if you were consistently there. This is when her emotions shift from present focused to future aware, and that changes her expectations. She starts asking herself, is he serious about me? Can I rely on him long term? Is this connection stable or temporary? And again, your answers don't come from words. They come from patterns, consistency, emotional steadiness, clarity in your actions. Now, here's something most people don't realize. When a woman is emotionally attached, she becomes more sensitive to emotional risk because now losing you would actually affect her. So, what does she do? She becomes more aware, sometimes more reactive, sometimes more quiet. Sometimes she tests the connection, subtly, not to create drama, but to understand if what she feels is safe to continue. For example, she might pull back slightly to see if you notice. She might act a bit distant to see if you care. She might bring up small concerns to see how you respond. These aren't games, they're emotional checkpoints, and how you respond to these moments determines everything. If you react with frustration or confusion, she feels instability. If you ignore them completely, she feels unimportant. But if you stay calm, grounded, and attentive without overreacting, she feels secure. And security is what transforms attachment into something deeper. Now, here's the most powerful part of this stage. When she feels both emotionally attached and emotionally safe, she stops holding back. Her energy becomes more open. Her communication becomes more honest. Her presence becomes more consistent. She no longer feels the need to protect herself as much because now she trusts the connection. And that's rare because it takes time, consistency, and emotional awareness to reach this point. But there's still one final stage, one that determines whether everything you've built becomes something lasting or slowly fades away. This is the stage most men want, but very few truly reach. Because getting her attention is easy, building attraction is possible, even creating emotional attachment can happen. But making a woman feel completely secure with you, that's rare. And when it happens, everything changes. At this point, she's no longer questioning you. She's no longer overanalyzing every message. She's no longer holding back parts of herself. Because now, she feels safe being fully seen. And that kind of emotional security creates a different kind of connection, a calmer one, a deeper one, a more real one. When a woman feels secure with you, her energy softens in a way that's hard to fake. She's more relaxed around you, more natural in how she speaks and expresses herself. She doesn't feel the need to impress you constantly because she's no longer trying to win you. She feels like she already has you. But don't misunderstand this. This doesn't mean the attraction disappears, it evolves. The excitement becomes more stable. The emotional highs become more balanced. The connection becomes more meaningful than intense. And this is where real relationships are built. Now, here's something powerful. When she feels secure, she starts giving more without being asked, more attention, more care, more emotional presence, not because she has to, but because she wants to. She begins to support you in subtle ways, checking on you, listening more deeply, being there during your quiet moments, not just the exciting ones. And this is the biggest shift of all. Her focus moves from, how do I feel about him, to, how can we grow together? That's when it becomes a partnership, not a chase, not a game, not uncertainty. But here's the truth most people ignore. Security doesn't mean the work is over. It means the responsibility becomes greater. Because now you're not just maintaining attraction, you're protecting trust. And trust, once broken at this stage, is much harder to rebuild. So, what keeps this connection strong? Not grand gestures, not constant excitement, but emotional consistency, being reliable in your actions. Being honest in your communication, being present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Because even when she feels secure, she still feels everything. If your energy changes drastically, she notices. If your effort drops, she feels it. If your attention shifts away, she senses it. But unlike earlier stages, she won't always react immediately. Instead, she observes, and over time, her feelings adjust based on what you consistently show her. Now, here's the most important part of this entire journey. When a woman feels deeply secure with you, she gives you access to a side of her that very few people ever see. Her true thoughts, her real emotions, her unfiltered self. And that's not something she gives lightly. It's earned through patience, through consistency, through emotional awareness. At this stage, she's not just connected to you emotionally, she trusts you with her inner world. And if you handle that with care, the bond becomes incredibly strong. Not perfect, but real. Final closing message. So when you ask, what does she feel when you enter her world? It's not just one emotion, it's a journey from curiosity to attraction to vulnerability to attachment to security. And each stage depends not on what you say, but on how you show up. Because in the end, a woman doesn't fall for words. She falls for the way you consistently make her feel over time. If you want to understand more about female psychology, attraction, and the hidden emotional signals women don't say out loud. Make sure you subscribe to Woman's Secret Signals, because what you don't understand is often what matters the most.